Welcome into KSU Nation. This is Stevie B, and we are talking Jerome Tang being fired from Kansas State, the fallout, next steps, all of that. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, tell your friends, and consider joining the channel. So, big news hit the internet yesterday. Jerome Tang is no longer the head coach at K-State. I'm kind of shocked, honestly, that it happened this quickly. In fact, I was not even privy to everything happening. I was pretty busy yesterday working on my wife's car pretty much all day. Yesterday was her birthday. And I saw the news hit the Twitter machine right around dinner time. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. So I'm going to break down kind of everything that happened and then give my thoughts on it as well. And I'm going to try to pull up some links and all of that. And I'm going to see if I can get this going really quickly. But man, this is absolutely crazy what's going on with K-State. And, I'm interested to see what everyone's thoughts are on K-State trying to go for for cause, because K-State has decided to fire Jerome Tang for cause. So it was announced yesterday, Sunday, February 15th, around 7:30 p.m. that K-State was firing Jerome Tang for cause. Now, what does that mean? So there's a lot that goes into that. In fact, I'll pull up an article here in a little bit. But an hour later, after they put out the press release, K-State AD Gene Taylor had a press conference. Now, my personal thoughts on that press conference are they shouldn't have had it. They should not have had it, especially after what Gene Taylor said. Just go with, the thing he put out on the internet last night, the decision, which I will pull up right now. This is according to ESPN. These are just some quotes from K-State and Gene Taylor and also Jerome Tang. This was a decision that was made in the best interest of our university and men's basketball program, Kansas State Athletic Director Gene Taylor said in a statement. Recent public comments and conduct, in addition to the program's overall direction, have not aligned with K-State's standards for supporting student athletes and representing the university. We wish Coach Tang and his family all the best moving forward. Now, that's where I feel like they should have just stopped, not said anything else. But they had the press conference, and honestly, it wasn't a good look for AD Taylor. Now, I don't necessarily disagree with the for cause, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. Like business-wise, it makes sense. And they said again, as you saw right there, that AD Taylor said, his comments. I don't even know if it said it right there. Actually, the comments after the Cincinnati game were the driving force behind firing him. And in fact, I want to say that's what he said after or during the press conference on Sunday night. Now, in that same story, which I'm going to pull up right now again, Jerome Tang also put out a statement to ESPN on his thoughts on it. He took offense with the firing, quoting, "I am deeply disappointed with the university's decision and strongly disagree with the characterization of my termination. He told ESPN in a statement, quote, "I have always acted with integrity and faithfully fulfilled my responsibilities as head coach." Now, he is obviously owed a significant buyout if he cannot be fired for cause. Now, there's been some developments just in the last hour or so. He is now being represented by the attorney Tom Mars, who was the attorney for Trinidad Chambliss, who was granted an extra year of eligibility from Ole Miss. So, that guy's a dog. But K-State also has an attorney, probably on retainer, who I'm assuming that AD Taylor has been talking to this whole time, building a folder and all of that. So there was a news story that came out today from the Mercury, and I'm going to try to pull it up right now. Again, where Gene Taylor was interviewed, and I'll tell you again, it does not make K-State look good. It really does not. In fact, I still feel like he should just not be saying anything. But in the article, they talk about how Kansas State offered Jerome Tang the chance to coach out the rest of this basketball season and then resign with a negotiated payout at the end. But Jerome Tang turned that down and instead got fired for cause. Taylor said we never gave him a specific number. They gave him until 5 or 6 o'clock to decide whether or not he wanted to continue coaching K-State through the end of the season and then be fired with a negotiated buyout. He said no. His lawyer reached out to K-State and said that he would not resign, or he would resign only if he got the full $18 million. So because of that, K-State fired him for cause. Now, again, I don't feel like Taylor should be going out and being interviewed about this, talking about this any more than he is, because this is only adding fuel to the fire for Tang's dog of an attorney. And they even quote Taylor in here saying, quote, I don't know what kind of leverage we have, but if we go to court, that $18 million will be tied up for quite a while. So do you go ahead and settle? That's something I don't know. So it honestly kind of feels like Gene Taylor didn't know what he was doing when he decided to fire Tang at the time. Like, it honestly feels like he's like making decisions pretty rashly, and I don't agree with that. Now, I'm sure there are some things going on behind the scenes that we're not seeing, but again, I do not feel like he should be giving any sort of interviews or any quotes to anyone. Just go with the statement he already said. Now, I also don't understand, and I'm going to put this away now. I also don't understand why K-State would offer to let him coach the rest of the year, but then also say in the same article that we saw that he's being fired for cause. So which is it? Are you letting him continue to coach the rest of the season because the team sucks? Or are you firing him instantly for cause? Like, I don't understand really what's going on there. I really don't. So the next steps, I think, are going to be in Jerome Tang's corner, where his actually there was a quote put out by his attorney today, which is pretty funny, honestly. His attorney, Tom Mars, told On3 that yes, Jerome Tang plans to file a lawsuit against K-State. Yes, of course, but we will give K-State's president and AD a few days to regain their senses before we pull the trigger. Now, I have sued someone before. It's relatively easy to find the paperwork, fill it out. I did it myself. Very easy. Obviously, he's going to have someone he's paying for that, Tom Mars and all that. My assumption would be that they probably already met today for probably a pretty long time, honestly, talking about everything, coming up with, the verbiage they want to use in it. They probably already started filling it out, honestly. My understanding is probably by tomorrow or Thursday, Jerome Tang's attorneys will sue K-State for breach of contract. And I would imagine K-State will get the paperwork sometime served to them early next week. Now, typically, when you sue someone, they are notified obviously right away. But also, like, it gives them a court date of like the very first court time you're ever going to meet. And then it also gives, it also gives them your contact information. So K-State can contact Jerome Tang through his attorney. And I'm assuming K-State's like, we want to settle. Whereas Jerome Tang is like, no, I don't want to settle. I want the whole $18 million. So what's going to happen? I don't know. But from like a business standpoint, I totally understand what K-State's doing. Like, especially you saw the quote there, like you understand that these court cases can take quite some time. And so even if it goes to like arbitration or something, that like K-State, if let's say they pay the full $18 million, it could be 2 or 3, maybe 4 years at the most 4 years. I would imagine this will get done in the next year or two. But it could be a long time before this is finally decided. And in that, they can decide, K-State, you do have to pay the full $18 million, but it can be done over 4 years or whatever, so $4.5 million, every year, $5 million every year, you know what I mean? Versus paying the full $18 million now for the buyout for K-State. So business-wise, like, it totally makes sense. Now, also, if you are K-State, I'm sure there's going to be a folder that their attorney is coming up with right now. In fact, I bet K-State's already had a folder of all, like, everything that Jerome Tang has done incorrectly at K-State. Now, I kind of feel like I don't know if I want to mention all of this, but I'm going to try to. So I'm sure the folder has all the things that can be voided, that can void the contract, and that includes, obviously, the embarrassment and disrepute. I don't even know how to say the word. The embarrassment to K-State for his comments after the Cincinnati game, which that's not the first time this season Jerome Tang has said some pretty negative stuff, some pretty bad stuff to the media. That's just one thing. Another thing, and honestly, that's the only thing that's been mentioned, and that's the only thing that like national people are talking about, which is fine. Like, but these people don't know like the full story of like what's going on in Manhattan. K-State had a GA who was I don't know if he was fired or if he was just let go through the end of the season. Anyways, K-State has a GA just within the last month that was arrested for domestic violence allegedly, and they're letting that legal process go through before deciding to bring him back. But he's not coming back. It's Mark Vidal, former Baylor player. Now we know that Tomlin, Naquan Tomlin, was kicked off the team a couple years ago. I don't want to say the full reason because like it just depends, and I don't want to libel slander someone right now, so I'm not going to. But he was kicked off the team, and that is not the only player that was kicked off the team in the last couple of years. There's a player right now, Moby Ikeruka, I think I said that correctly, that is no longer with the team right now for various reasons. Then there was it was put out there that Jerome Tang was following, or his account at least, was following an OnlyFans model. No, I don't know, where that would put K-State in terms of this lawsuit, but it definitely embarrasses a university when their head coach is following one of those. And then I'm sure there's plenty of other things behind the scenes that K-State has in his folder they're going to try to use to fire Jerome Tang for cause. Now, as we talked about Jerome Tang a lot here, because obviously that's a big story, right? Like he took K-State to the Elite Eight in the first year. Since then, not good. 19-15, 16-17 last year, and I think they're about 10-15 right now. Things are not good. 3 bad seasons in a row. Now, where does K-State go from here after Jerome Tang? Because that process is going to take a while. It really is. I said 1 to 4 years, probably 1 to 2 years, honestly. I don't like K-State's chances, but again, from the business side, it makes sense. It really does. So, in my opinion, I feel like K-State is going to be a top 5 job in this cycle. Now, that really depends on, if someone decides to retire, or let's say Kentucky fires their coach Mark Pope because he's really not living up to expectations. I don't know. Like there could be, I do feel like there's probably 5 to 8 jobs that have not opened or that will open that are not known yet. Now I have compiled a list of jobs that I believe will be open by the end of the season. And I'm going to go ahead and read those off right now. I feel like Jerome Tang's lawyer is going to take his cut too out of the $18 million. Yeah, that is true. Marquise, Sills, and Keontae took K-State to the Elite Eight. Jerome Tang was just there for the ride. I agree. Now, these are jobs that I personally believe will come available at the end of the season. I'm going to read them off to you guys, and let me know if you guys think that K-State's in the top 5, because I personally definitely believe it. So these are high major jobs that I think are going to come open. Florida State, Wake Forest, Notre Dame, Boston College, Pitt, Georgia Tech, Utah, Cincinnati, Georgetown, Butler, Providence, Rutgers, Northwestern, Penn State, Mississippi State, LSU, and South Carolina. Now, those are jobs that I personally believe, based off of their coach, how long he's been there, how the fact that they keep missing the NCAA tournament. I believe all of those schools will fire their coach. Now, I don't know what the buyouts are for all of them. Maybe some of them don't. I don't know. But if I look at that list, I'm like, where would I put K-State? I would put K-State in the top 5 of that simply because, number one, Big 12 is a great conference. Number 2, K-State's NIL is among the top 25 for basketball, which makes it a very, very, very attractive job. I really do. I feel like coaches are probably already reaching out to K-State saying, we're interested in this position. Now, Gene Taylor said last night in his press conference that they're probably going to use a search firm, And I have some coaches that I think K-State will consider. They're already on like everyone's hot board, so like this is not like anything like big. So Josh Schertz is probably the hottest name outside of the guy at Miami of Ohio. Like this is probably the guy that's going to be the hottest name in this cycle. He coaches St. Louis, who is ranked 18th in the country. They're 12-0 in the A10 and 24-1 overall. Pretty impressive resume overall, and he's only 50 years old. Next guy, Casey Alexander from Belmont. They're currently 14-3 in the Missouri Valley, 24-4 overall, nearly 300 career wins, and he's 53 years old. Eric Olson at New Mexico. They are 10-4 this year in the Mountain West, 19-6 overall. He is the all-time winningest coach in UC San Diego's history. They're in the Big West Conference. UC San Diego is. He has a 240 career wins, and he's only 45 years old. And then the last name that a lot of people consider to be among the top names that K-State is considering is Jared Calhoun from Utah State. They're currently 12-2, 22-3 overall in the Mountain West Conference. He's only 44, and he went to the NCAA tournament a year ago and has a better team this year. So that's just like a quick look. I'm sure there's a lot of guys that I didn't mention. Now, Gene Taylor did say that they're going to be looking at coaches with head coaching experience. I'm not sure that's the best way to go. I understand why after, Jerome Tang did not work out, but I don't know. I really don't know because I feel like you are kind of like eliminating like a lot of people, whether it's from the NBA or, really successful assistants. Like I think there's one at Creighton right now that's doing pretty good as well that used to be at High Point. So I don't know. I really don't know, but I understand where K-State's coming from, trying to do it for cause. You gotta look at it from the business side because like at worst you're gonna pay the full 18 million, right? But like if you can kind of like drag this around for a couple years, make him settle, make him get like antsy, I feel like you're doing pretty good. And K-State's already probably got a lawyer on retainer, so you're gonna be paying that fee regardless. I understand it. Now, does it look bad for K-State nationally? Absolutely. Do I care? Not really. Not really. I just want K-State to win basketball games. That's all that matters. So we need someone that starts their resume with, I have elite ball knowledge. Yeah, I know, right? So that's a video today talking a little bit about Jerome Tang. I'll tell you what, I got that confused a lot. Jerome Tang and Gene Taylor sounds kind of similar. Kind of similar. GT, JT. Anyways, that's a video today. I'm interested to see what happens. K-State is the first to the market with the head coach. Now, that did not help Penn State football being first to the market because they were one of the last people to hire someone. But I feel like Matt Campbell was a pretty decent hire for them. So I don't know. I don't know where this is going to go. I would imagine K-State will hire someone during the NCAA tournament or before. But it's going to be kind of hard to hire someone unless it's an assistant, which Gene Taylor said they're not really looking at. So I don't know. And that's another thing that K-State will probably use as well in their arsenal. There's a video of Tang sitting on a couch for Hang with Tang, where he's stating coaches are hired to get fired, meaning they're hired. They try to do really good so they can get an extension, and then they kind of just try to suck so that way they can be fired and then go live on the beach somewhere and go open up a bunch of orphanages and schools. So we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. I'm Stevie B. This is KSU Nation. Kenny could not be here this time. I believe he is asleep. He works the third shift, so he could not make it. I emailed him a bunch of times. I texted him a bunch of times. Pretty sure he's asleep. But I had to go live to talk about this because this is pretty big news. In fact, probably the biggest news for K-State outside of hiring Colin Klein. It's pretty crazy. K-State is going to be hiring a new football coach and a new basketball coach in the same school year. Like, that is pretty wild. As I have everyone here, we're talking K-State. Let's go ahead and take a look at the baseball score because K-State baseball is looking pretty good right now. Pretty freaking good. Let's see. teams baseball schedule. All right, let me just pull up on my phone really quick. But yeah, let me know in the comment section what you guys think about Jerome Tang and Gene Taylor. K-State beat Air Force 11-8. They are 4-0. They have beaten Penn State, Iowa, UConn, and Air Force. That's a pretty good start to the season, honestly. In fact, I think they beat Penn State 24-5. So yeah, baseball and track and field are killing it. Everyone thinks that Gene Taylor should be fired. I don't know about that. I think he's a pretty good dude. Shout out to Chris Kleiman, one of the best K-State guys around. In fact, he knew when to step aside. He didn't take like a big buyout. He's going to work at K-State more to keep making money and to help out his friend Gene Taylor. Whereas Jerome Tang is like, no, give me my money. Give me my money. I want to be gone. $18 million. Like, I understand that's like life-changing money, but like also the amount of money he made just this season is like more money than like most Americans will make in the next 30 years. So I don't know, man. Like, I feel like he's being pretty greedy, but I get it. I totally get it. I would imagine, my final thoughts here, I would imagine they settle at 10 million. I'm assuming K-State wants to get it half at like 9.5. And I'm sure Jerome Tang wants 18. But I imagine if you wait another year or two, they'll probably settle around 10 million and do it. And honestly, we'll probably never know the whole total. Honestly, we probably will never know because there's going to be an NDA. But anyways, that's a video. I'm CVB. Thanks everyone for watching, and go Big 12 and go Cats.